Hi, everyone. I don't want to bore you to tears, but I want to quickly discuss two more methods for attacking this identity and verifying it. Now, actually, what if we start off with the way we started off method one and broke this down to sine and cosine? Once again, this is the same as for method one, but this time we're going to do the algebra differently. This time, instead of getting a common denominator in the top and the bottom, we're going to use our trick from method four. So I'm kind of fusing together methods one and four. I'm multiplying the top and the bottom by the overall LCD, which is the product of sine of theta and cosine of theta. So I multiply by this over itself. Overall, I'm multiplying by one. Now, in method four, I had something very nice in the upper left, so I did not have to distribute up on top. This time, I have fractions inside both the top and the bottom of the overall fraction. So I do want to distribute these guys through both the top and the bottom. You can either show it, or you can skip this step and try to do it mentally. With time, you can do this mentally, but be careful. The survivors, after you distribute on the top and the bottom, end up giving you this. Cosine of theta plus cosine squared of theta over sine squared of theta plus sine squared of theta cosine of theta. On both the top and the bottom, what can you do? Hint, a substitution might help. What could you do with x plus x squared, for example, up on top, and y squared plus y squared x on the bottom? You can factor. And in fact, this snap substitution could help you. You might want to show this or not. But anyway, when you factor, hey, look at this. On both the top and the bottom, you get 1 plus cosine of theta. As factors of the entire top and the entire bottom, they divide out to 1. Again, we're not worried about hidden restrictions. You end up with cosine of theta over sine squared of theta. But now, wait a minute. When you look at the target, I don't see any squares here. I see cotangent of theta times cosecant of theta. So I'm going to peel this thing apart. It's like factoring. I'm going to tear this apart. I'm going to peel it apart. Well, sine squared of theta is just sine of theta times sine of theta, right? Kind of like this rule. So I'll write this as cosine of theta over sine of theta times 1 over sine of theta. There's a 1 on top here. And then from quotient and reciprocal identities, we get cotangent of theta, cosecant of theta, okay, which is what I want. Bear in mind, if you had torn this apart in a different order, if you had put this guy in front, you would eventually have to switch and get to here. But that's fine. Multiplication is commutative. You can switch the order. All right. So that was my method 2. In my evolution, in method 3, I got smarter. I used the idea of internal consistency. Remember that? I used that in method 4. So I used the key strategy from method 4. But the thing was, I made cosecant of theta look like sine of theta. I made cotangent of theta look like tangent of theta. I used the reciprocal identities this way, which seems very natural to students, and it did to me. The thing was, I was going the wrong way because I forgot about the target. Remember, method 4, the better method, I applied a similar strategy, but I got really smart. I made the pieces look like cotangent of theta and cosecant of theta. Here I went the wrong way. I made these guys look like these guys, which I think we're inclined to do early on because we're just more comfortable with these two functions of theta. But anyway, it does work. It takes some more steps. Okay, so I built up these two fractions to get a common denominator up there. Or you could multiply through by the LCD, sine of theta times tangent of theta, like I did in method 4. This is over 1. Remember, when you divide by something non-zero, you're multiplying by its reciprocal. Basically, you do get a cancellation here. These do divide out to 1, but that may not be entirely clear. It may be easier to think of this as multiplying by the reciprocal of that. Then you see these guys cancel out. 1 over sine of theta tangent of theta. Let's peel it apart, factor it. 1 over sine of theta times 1 over tangent of theta. That gives us cosecant of theta times cotangent of theta, but we want it verbatim to the right-hand side. We switch factors and get that. So 4 ways. Pick your poison, 4 ways. I would accept any of these on homework or exams, but strategizing helps. I think method 4 was by far the best solution. It was the most concise and shortest solution, and it helped that I strategized first, using ideas of internal consistency and aiming for the target. So strategizing helps. I'm going to discuss some more strategies and list them out in later videos.